13 hours, 57 minutes, and 10 seconds. That's how long it took for me to finish Zenless Zone Zero story in version 1.0. That is a lot of time that not a lot of people have. So if you chose to skip the story, forgot certain plot points, or couldn't stand the constant level requirements, then this video is for you. I simplified or explained all the lore terms so you don't need to worry about knowing any terminology. If you do want the lore basics, I have a separate video for you to watch, so go check that out in the description below. Anyways, let's start from the top. We start with Wise and Belle in their video store called Random Play, watching TV when a news report plays warning people to be careful of something called a hollow. Instead of feeling worried or scared, Wise and Belle are getting prepared for business. We then cut to a faction called the Cutting Hairs as they're stealing a strongbox from the Red Fang gang. The heist goes from bad to worse when they attract the attention of a public security helicopter and it missiles the building, no questions asked. Both Billy and Ambi fall into the hollow mentioned in the news, and without a guide or a map, it's nearly impossible to escape it. They find the strongbox, but the leader of the Red Fang gang, Miguel Silver, is there too, and this is where we see one of the dangers of the hollow. Staying too long in a hollow can corrupt you and turn you into a monster called an ethereal. Ambi and Billy can't defeat this ethereal, so they retreat. We then cut back to Belle and Wise and see Nicole needing their help because they're proxies, which are people that specialize in guiding others through hollows. It's also very illegal. Wise and Belle also aren't just an average proxy. They're the legendary proxy Faithin. She can't go to the authorities because then she and her team would get in trouble for illegally exploring hollows. After negotiating a price, they decide to help Nicole, and this is when we see what makes Belle and Wise special. They're able to connect and control their Bang Boo EOS from outside of a hollow. Wise and Belle are able to rescue Billy and Ambi, and they meet back at Random Play. We find out that Nicole had Silver's flash drive and gives it to us so that we can recover the data while the Cutting Hairs find the Strongbox's location. It also turns out that the flash drive contains the Strongbox's password. Now that we have the password and location, we start our mission to find it. Things start off good, but then the proxies get hacked, which means that the Cutting Hairs don't have a guide. The hacker also wants the password to the safe box and starts to delete data from their database. While the proxies are busy with this hacker, the Cutting Hairs are in danger fighting against ethereals, but they have an opportunity to escape the hollow. Hollow investigators enter the hollow, and if the Cutting Hairs turn Faithin in and expose their identity, they'll be escorted out. This is their best chance for escaping safely. But Nicole shows us why she's best girl. She's loyal and doesn't rat them out. The hacker isn't actually that smart either. He yaps about how the Strongbox has special data that allows you to easily enter and exit hollows. The proxies outsmart him by giving him access to their proxy account, but they report it to public security and he runs away. Sacrificing their proxy account is a big deal because that's their entire reputation, which they need to get jobs and pay the bills. They get access back to their system, defeat the ethereal, and secure the strongbox. Unfortunately, they don't have a route to get out of the hollow because the hacker deleted it, so they use the data inside the safe to find a way out. However, the data is way more powerful than they thought, and we are treated to this crazy cutscene that foreshadows the future. We see Wise and Belle near the first hollow known as Hollow Zero, and the words, "In the end, it all came down to this," followed by Eridu's tragedy, and the words, "I won't give up." I'm gonna be honest, I got chills when I first saw this. So my speculation is that whatever tragedy happened in old Eridu is going to happen again, and the siblings are going to be in the center of it. I really like Zenless' use of foreshadowing because now there's this underlying sense of tension. The more we investigate the truth about Hollow Zero, the closer we get to this scene. I am so excited for when we get there. I can't wait for it. Back to the present, they get out of the hollow, but Wise is passed out and hears a voice telling him to agree to some terms and conditions. Wise experiences intense pain until he agrees. When he wakes up, everybody is safe, but now there's a super AI called Fairy that is part of the system, and she calls Wise Master. Fairy can easily access data to navigate hollows, and she can access up to 80% of phones in New Eridu. Fairy's presence is dangerous because she has a power that everybody wants, but the siblings see this as an opportunity to further their teacher's dream. They also have the Cutting Hairs find out where the Strongbox came from and who wanted it. Unfortunately, it was given by an anonymous commissioner, so Nicole goes to investigate the Red Fang gang to see what they know. Wise and Belle are watching the news report on a construction project to renovate the old Capital Metro that is being done by the Vision Corporation. They were competing with Bellabog Industries, but won because their plan was cheaper and quicker. Now keep that in mind. Their representative and notorious short king, Charles Perlman, explains Vision's plans for the construction project. Later today, they're going to use explosives to demolish the area which is near the Dead End Hollow. So they're transporting explosives by an unmanned train. This is when we are first introduced to Nekomata, who needs our help, and she's carrying Nicole's bamboo. Nicole sent her to get help, and she reveals that Perlman is lying. Yeah, no shit. I mean, look at him, he's a little liar. Using Fairy, the proxies extract data from the bamboo, and we see what happened to the Cunning Hares. Nekomata commissioned the Cunning Hares to find an heirloom which is in one of the Red Fang Gang's hideouts. She chose the Cunning Hares because they defeated the Red Fang Gang's leader. Nicole decides to take the commission because Nekomata has information on the Red Fang Gang. Nekomata's heirloom is in the hideout that's also inside of the Dead End Hollow. The problem is that Nicole and the others are going to be in the blast radius when the demolition starts. Wise and Belle come up with a plan to go into the hollow and intercept the train that's carrying the explosives. While in the hollow, they find Corin, who's lost doing her own commission. She helps them get to the train and they guide her out of the hollow. After rerouting the train, the proxies enter the train and find out that there's a suspicious amount of guards on board. Nekomata throws Eos out of the window and they escape and meet back at random play. Due to the proxies tampering, the detonation will be delayed until tomorrow night. Nekomata isn't telling the whole truth, so they watch the rest of the bamboo's footage. While the Cunning Hares were investigating the hollow, Nekomata claimed to have seen a child, so they take a detour from finding Nekomata's heirloom to help find the child. The Cunning Hares find the kid running away from Ethereals and they save her. Unfortunately, a special ethereal called the Dead End Butcher is right behind them, but a hollow exit appears and they escape. To save costs, instead of relocating citizens, hundreds of people were abandoned in the blast zone. Vision cut off all sources of contact and hired mercs to keep the people from leaving and exposing the truth. Nicole wants to get these people out and start a lawsuit against Vision. Now that they understand the situation, the proxies come up with a rescue plan. By going through the hollow, they can hijack the train and use it to carry all the people out. They meet up with the Cunning Hares and start the plan. We successfully hijack the train and hold Perlman hostage, but one of the mercs blows up the tracks, trapping everybody, because that merc is a certified idiot. This is when Nekomata finds her family heirloom and reveals that she was part of the Red Fang Gang. Originally, she brought the Cunning Hares to the Dead End Hollow for revenge. But after learning the truth that public security were responsible for Silver falling into the hollow, she changed her mind. Also, she respects how the Cunning Hares are trying to help those who need it, just like the Red Fang Gang before they were corrupted. Nekomata goes to negotiate with Vision and takes Perlman as a bargaining chip. While Nekomata does that, the proxies come up with a new plan to get all the people out of the blast zone. The plan is to make a path for the people by reducing the size of the hollow. The size of a hollow is related to ethereal activity, so to shrink it, we need to defeat the Dead End Butcher. Nekomata's negotiations were a little short-sighted because Perlman is not actually that important to Vision. On the flip side, the proxies' fight against the Butcher is going pretty good. They hit a Gynax pose, they hit him with a train full of explosives, then a massive lightning bolt strikes and makes a massive explosion. This is some peak anime shit and I loved every second of this cutscene. Miss Sarah activates the detonator, but we get the people out of the blast zone. Sarah orders the mercs to open fire, but thanks to Nicole, reporters, public security, and Bellabog Heavy Industries arrive in time and clean up the mess. Nekomata officially joins the Cunning Hares and we celebrate with a dinner. Nicole also makes some progress on the Strongbox's origins. The Red Fang Gang stole it from the White Star Institute, which is an organization that is dedicated to researching hollows and ethereals. Unfortunately, only Silver knew the client's identity, so they reach a dead end. There are a couple of side chapters between chapters 1 and 2, so we'll go through that really quickly. Our informant Stefan informs us that the Hollow Investigation Association are starting missions involving Hollow Zero and are allowing independent investigators. The siblings want to join these missions because they grew up in the old capital before it was destroyed by Hollow Zero and want to learn more. Stefan uses his connections to sneak them in. All they need to do is take a test and they'll be officially allowed to investigate Hollow Zero. They take an assessment test and while inside Hollow Zero, a special ethereal called Nineveh shows up. They're rescued by Miyabi, the leader of an elite group of Hollow investigators called Section 6, which is a group under the organization HAND, which stands for Hollow Affairs and Neutralization Department. They take Eos to track down this ethereal and Miyabi does this. God, she's cool. They complete their mission and Miyabi looks forward to working with the proxies again. It's important to note that Miyabi and Section 6 don't know that Wise and Belle are proxies, or that they can control Eos. There's also a side mission where Belle gets lost in a hollow. It doesn't advance the plot, but it does show the relationship between Wise and Belle as siblings, which is nice. Also, Belle is just cute as hell. On to chapter 2. The proxies are struggling financially. Same. Because they have a new account, they aren't getting high paying commissions like they used to, and Fairy increases their electricity bill by 5 times. They need money. Luckily, they get a big commission that they deduce was from Belobog Heavy Industries. Belobog is a construction company that specializes in smart machinery that can work inside of hollows. The commissioner is Anton, and the Cunning Hairs were the ones that recommended us. He takes us to meet their CEO Kaleda, their engineer Grace, and their accountant Ben. They tell us that ever since they took the metro renovation project, other companies have been interfering, and to make things worse, some of Belobog's machines got out of control. Grace was updating their logic cores and they stopped listening to her. They ran into a hollow and haven't returned. So we begin our commission to help them recover their machines. The first 2 are easy to find because Kaleda already knows their location. The grappler machine Hans is a bro character and Anton convinces him bro to bro. The boarding machine is a love-struck machine and Grace has a heart-to-heart with her even though she's single as hell. The last machine is Friday the pile driver and he's me when I used to play D&D.
I'm the enlightened sinner. I cometh to stabilize the seal and guard this place on my mentor's charge. Thou shalt leave at once!
Friday is trying to fix some kind of seal and complete his mission that was given to him by his mentor Kors. This name drop completely sucks the air out of the room. Kors was Belobog's former president and Kaleda's dad. He was the one that started to make Belobog's signature smart machinery. Kaleda was close to her father, but things took a turn for the worse when her father got a mysterious call and left one night carrying a duffel bag full of cash. The proxies finish their commission, but before they leave, they ask about Kors. The night before the old capital fell, he embezzled funds and left. Since then, Belobog has had its reputation ruined. Kaleda's attitude towards her own father sparks an argument between her and Grace. Grace argues that there's more to the story than what is publicly known. Ben tries to defuse the situation and Grace reveals that the machines received a signal that's coming from Kors' original prototype. The prototype was lost when the old capital fell and Grace wants to retrieve it, but Kaleda is reluctant. Grace reveals that the reason for the machines changing was because of the prototype signal and it made them smarter. The hollow that the prototype is inside of is near the border between New Eridu and the old capital. By using the smart machines, they find a signal that shows the location of the prototype. The prototype is located at the memorial square that Kors didn't finish constructing. Grace and Kaleda have a talk and Kaleda gets it off her chest that she doesn't want to confront her memories of when her father left because if she did, she would have to face the reality that her father was a bad person. Grace reassures Kaleda that no matter what happens, she, Ben, and Anton will always have her back because they're family. She reaffirms that there might be more to Kors' story. We find the prototype and discover bullet holes in the cockpit. We also find receipts that Kors took the cash to pay the manufacturer and took the prototype to the monument. Kaleda remembers that the phone call her dad took was even more suspicious than she thought and wants to know what her dad discovered. They retrieve the prototype and a mysterious type of monster comes out of the monument. It doesn't look like a corrupted human or a normal ethereal. It also absorbs the other machines and creates this honestly incredible monster design. Kaleda confronts her fears and pilots her father's prototype. She puts up a good fight, but the monster doesn't budge and the prototype is starting to be corrupted. Kaleda channels the power of 1,000 mecha anime and with one last push, overpowers the monster and defeats it. A few days later, after everybody recovers, Kaleda informs what happens next. Public security investigated the scene and took the monster's remains. However, Kaleda took the prototype's memory unit and gave it to the proxies to extract the data to look for more clues. Barry can decipher the data, but it would require too much energy and computing power, so she recommends it would be quicker to have a hacker named Rain do it for us. Luckily, Nicole knows Rain, so she can help us out. On to chapter 2. The chapter starts with the proxies recapping the Belobog events with Nicole. Public security has the monster's remains, but it will be delivered to hand when it goes through the hollow. While Nicole tries to get into touch with Rain, Belle and Wise need to renew their licenses at Lumina Square. Belle's phone starts to act up and a car loses control, almost hitting her. Thankfully, Chingy and Ji-Yuan are there to save her and stop the car. They're in Lumina Square to get ready for a public safety seminar that's going to happen in a few days. It turns out we also met Ji-Yuan and Chingy before. They were the officers that were investigating the monster in chapter 2. Chingy saw something inside the crystal and this is when Inspector Bringer shows up to the crime scene, but he's more concerned with the upcoming election than doing any actual work. Also, by using Fairy, we learn that the public safety seminar event is being used by Bringer for publicity. He also tasks Ji-Yuan and Chingy to get as many people to go to the event. Unfortunately, nobody wants to go when they ask, so Wise and Belle try to help. The other residents don't want to go because they see through Bringer's phony act. Before the capital fell, Bringer was a hero. He miraculously survived the Hollow and became known as the Hollow Hero. We cut back to Ji-Yuan and Chingy, who are still struggling to get residents to go to the seminar. It's revealed that Ji-won was lost in a hollow in the past and Bringer had saved her. She knows that he's changed, but still believes in him. Ching-yi says, "Failure to act when action is needed shows a lack of courage." This is when a crime is committed. A truck driver accuses a Bang-boo of attempting to steal his very rare ducks. But the Bang-boo denies this and says that it feels dizzy. The truck driver won't press charges if his ducks get delivered on time, so we help him find ducks. This is when Belle notices that the company car's lights are still on. They make the connection that somebody has been causing technology to malfunction. Belle deduces that someone has been using an EMP, and this is why the truck's door opened by itself and why the Bang-boo felt dizzy. Ji-won hunts down the culprit that has been using the EMP, but he escapes into a hollow. The proxies decide to secretly assist Ching-yi and Ji-won. They catch the suspect and clear the Bang-boo of any charges. Because of Ji-won's actions, the residents respect her heroism and decide to go to the seminar. Fast forward to the day of the seminar, things are going smoothly until Ching-yi gets a suspicious report that the courier holding the mysterious monster's remains might have been targeted. Ji-won was supposed to talk to the media, but she decided to go with Ching-yi because of something Ching-yi said earlier.
Worshipping an undeserving deity is sycophancy. Failure to act when action is needed shows a lack of courage. I want to be someone who protects people.
Wise and Belle were eavesdropping and they follow them into the hollow. Ji-won and Ching-yi get ambushed and are surrounded by enemies, and the proxies want to help, but they're hesitant because it could expose their identity and illegal proxy work to public security. However, they also remember Ching-yi's quote and save the officers. We introduce ourselves as Phaethon and explain our involvement with Bellabot. We all work together and find the stolen evidence. We say our goodbyes, but Ching-yi figures out that Phaethon was at the seminar. I can't say for sure if the officers know that Wise and Belle are Phaethon, but I wouldn't be surprised if they knew. A few days later, we give Ji-won and Ching-yi a gift before they go back to their own branch. Ji-won then gets a call from Miyabi. Miyabi reveals that they found a mask with human DNA inside of the monster's remains, but don't know the identity of the person. We then switch back to Sarah visiting Perlman in prison. She reveals that she's been faking her identity and she wants Perlman to sign a confession. Perlman also reveals that Sarah was the one that tried to steal the evidence. He also threatens to expose her involvement in Vision's crimes. She calmly leaves the room and talks to a hidden partner that says he'll handle it. Okay, finally, chapter 3, almost done. And if you made it this far, leave a comment that you made it. It's the day of the Cunning Hair's trial against Vision, and best girl Nicole is going to be on TV representing the people. While the Cunning Hairs are getting ready, Nicole gets a series of blank texts from the hacker Rain, and she goes to the proxies because she believes that Rain is in trouble. The texts are coming from the Ballet Twins towers. Those buildings were swallowed by a hollow, so we go there to investigate. Nicole also hands us a picture of what Rain looks like, and it turns out she's a regular at Random Play. We investigate the area and realize that the hollow shrunk, so there's a section of the building that sticks out, which is where Rain has been sending the texts. We go with the Cunning Hairs into the hollow and we get ambushed by Victoria Housekeeping, who are there on their own mission. Nekomata recognizes Korin and Korin vouches for us, so they introduce themselves properly. The Cunning Hairs have to leave to go to the trial, so Lycon suggests that the proxy guide Victoria Housekeeping because they can help each other. Currently, they're in Tower A and they need to get to Tower B. We cut back to Nicole and see that Perlman has some secret plan. The Cunning Hairs also board the airship to go to the trial. We navigate our way through the towers, but we notice that the lights are flickering strangely. According to superstition, when the towers were swallowed by the hollow, a pair of twin dancers died here. When there are trespassers, the sisters will warn them with flickering lights, but those who refuse to leave will experience a blackout and disappear. Victoria Housekeeping has been tasked to investigate these rumors. We get close to our destination, but the power goes out and the door closes. We exit the hollow to figure out a way to open the door. Our next goal is to access the tower's central control rooms and activate the emergency generators. We split into two groups. Ellen and Korin will activate the generators while Lycon and Rena go to the control room. We turn the lights back on and go into Tower B. We find Rain's backpack and find an MP3 player inside. Music starts to play and it attracts a spatial ethereal. It's a tough battle, but the proxy throws the MP3 player into a fissure and the ethereal follows it. The ethereal is gone, but missiles fire at us suddenly and Ellen goes beast mode.
Leave one of them conscious.
There are mercenaries inside with us. We exit the hollow and take one of the mercs to interrogate them. The mercenaries were the ones who shut down the power and are the ones responsible for kidnapping Rain. We tell Lycon why we're here and the truth about Rain. Now that we're all on the same page, Lycon helps us save her. We clear out the henchman and find a military-grade transmitter. We suddenly get a call from Billy and he's panicking because Perlman's briefcase released a gas that knocked everybody out. We also learn that the mercenaries kidnap Rain so she can hack the airship and reroute it into the ballet towers. The mercs give Rain the Gwen Stacy treatment, but unlike Spider-Man, Lycan saves her. We make a dash towards the exit, but we get stopped by the twin dancer ethereals. Victoria Housekeeping beat them and we make it to the roof. Lycan goes full Miguel O'Hara, and with Billy's help, he's able to pilot the aircraft. We save everybody on board, Billy gets his story straight, and we leave before public security arrives. Perlman's height gives him an advantage on sneak checks, and he hijacks the aircraft and leaves. Skip forward a few days, and Rain tells us that the ones responsible wanted to get rid of Perlman, which means that Miss Sarah and her partner were behind it. Rain also mentions some kind of sacrifice. We check Kaleda's memory unit and find a recording before the old capital fell. It's a recording of Kors before he died. He's talking to an unknown person who reveals that the monster inside the monument is called a sacrifice. The chapter ends with Lycan and Rena spying outside a random play. They didn't tell us the whole truth, and they also know about the sacrifice. For now, they're keeping an eye on us and helping when needed. I really like ZZZ's story. It doesn't have the highest world-ending stakes yet, but the way that the story is structured is really well done and it's engaging. Every character has a stake in the situation. The cutting hairs are there because of their case with Perlman. Belobog is trying to know the truth about their former president. PubSec and Hand are investigating the remains of the monster, and Victoria Housekeeping were hired by their client to investigate. But importantly, the proxies are like the string that connect everything. They're not gods or chosen ones, but the siblings are at the right place at the right time. There are so many factions at play, and as the story goes on, the more complex it gets. Remember, this all started with the simple commission to find a strongbox. Thank you everybody for watching. It's 3 AM and I'm going to knock out. I'll see you guys next time.